Welcome, Birthing in Gathering. This is Brenda St. Louis, financial therapist and money coach. It's such a strange experience to be not doing this live, to feel your energy out there as you're listening to me. But I'm going to do my best. And I've sat here and was holding space to the type of community that Birthing in Gathering is about. And talking with Samantha about this, I've recognized that so many of us are missing some foundational pieces in order to launch our career, to launch our life, to launch our children, to launch the world in a really conscious way. So I wanted to frame this discussion today, which is a little passive. It's one way, but just know that there is an opportunity for us to do a Q&A at some point. So know that this is not just a two-dimensional Brenda to navigate with. What I really like to tell you a little bit about is who I am and why you should listen to me. And I'm kind of a Jill of all trades throughout my life, but within the last 11 years, I've really decided that my purpose in the world is to invite people, heart-centered people, people that actually care about the planet, the earth, and our communities, to have a deep, dynamic, and dropped-in relationship with the money in their life. So that's why I'm doing this. I think my goal is in the next 5 years, I want to touch 1 million people, women, men, children, people, folk, non-binary and beyond. So just so that we actually recognize that we're living in a transactional universe, and what are we going to do about it? So I have been a financial therapist and money coach for about 11 years. But before that, I lived in Ontario, Windsor, Ontario, Canada. And I became a registered massage therapist. I was a creative writing major. I became a registered massage therapist. And then I traveled the world. And I luckily got into being a voice actor in Seoul, Korea. So I did a lot of the educational stuff that taught people how to speak English. And I did a lot of animation and voiceover acting and things like that. But what happened when I was in Korea is I stepped into the role of a facilitator. And so I started teaching all over the world from the stage about consciousness, getting out of judgment, and being really fully embodied in this world and having a relationship with the physical world and your body and your spirit. Because, in my belief, we have come here to do the work we need to do in this 3D world. So it's really about really starting to create a relationship with the things in our life and the edges that we push up against. But then I moved to Vancouver, Canada. And shortly after that was when I started focusing my efforts on understanding how we as individuals have this really screwed up relationship with money. I don't know, like even at a dinner party, people will talk about their sex life more than they will talk about money. It's kind of the last taboo. There's so much secrecy in it. And it was kind of like this direction chose me because I was never really that good with money. I knew how to make a lot of money. Like I'd make tons of money doing different jobs and I'd spend it. I often liken this story of like, I was kind of one of those people that lived on the yacht and I had beautiful things around me and everything. And it wasn't my yacht. And there was all these people and this party and all of this stuff. And all of a sudden someone decided to throw me off their yacht. And I was holding onto a flotation device, waiting for the next yacht to come around. And then I'd get on the next yacht, dry myself off, figure it out. And then I'd be thrown overboard eventually again. So it's like I never had my own yacht. Not like I really want to have a yacht, but just as a metaphor, I never was able to build a foundation that I could build my business on, my life on, so that I can facilitate change for more and more people. So I ended up at one point being super heartbroken. I was just like, I just wasn't happy and I was pissed off with life. And one of my mentors, I had a session with her and I just said, I'm done. I'm done with this place. Everyone keeps killing themselves. They're destroying the earth. No one really wants to create something different. So I'm done. These are stupid people. And it was pretty strong. I had a really strong reaction. And so she had to meet my energy the way that I was showing up. So she said, well, why don't you kill yourself? And I was like, well, that would cause a lot of pain. It would be a waste. People would suffer. Yeah, like I'm not that person. I don't kill myself. And she's like, well, then do something, leave a legacy, do something that if you don't want to come back to this planet Earth again, you can go puppet it from someplace else. So I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. That's like a big idea. I'm like, so I said to her, I said, well, what am I going to do? She goes, well, that's for you to find out. You have to figure out what you want to do. So I spent months going, well, I don't know. Like, I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know. I knew what I was gifted with, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended this relationship. I was heartbroken and I wanted to feel better. So I went to clown school, and I always wanted to go to clown school. And the funniest thing is when I was in grade 8, you know, when you fill in those little dots that tell you what your career is. So I filled it all out. And the 3 top careers that were popped out was priest, clown, and marine biologist. I know. I thought that was hilarious. And I could see priest because I really like to talk, as you can see, and I really like to inspire people. And I could see clown because I was like the class clown. I like to joke around. I like to play. And marine biologist in some way because I really believe in the environment and I was really connected. So it really, all 3 of them felt really powerful to me. But my teacher was like, well, let's look into marine biology because you're a woman, you can't be a priest, which I was a Catholic schoolgirl, and a clown. Like who goes to school to be a clown? I said, no, I want to be a clown. And she was like, she said, okay. So she went and researched, and there were 2 clown schools. One was in Poland, and the other one was in Vancouver, Canada. So when I moved here, I immediately looked up at the clown school. I don't know why. It's always followed me. I always like to play in the circus arts and stuff like that. So I went to clown school, and this was not your typical clown school. Was like PhD personal development. That's what clowning is. I know people think it's this red-nosed clown and you make balloons, but it has nothing to do with it. There's no makeup, there's no red nose, there's no nothing. You go and you do this real deep shamanic mask work that uncovers the truth of you and how do you show up without a mask. And then how do you deliberately put a mask on? So it was power. I love that stuff, right? I'm such a seeker. I'm one of my ex-partners used to call me a growth junkie. I'd always like push the edge. What's next? What's next? So I'm making this mask out of this piece of clay, and I have to have a blindfold on. My teacher whispers something in my ear, and I have to like make this mask. And then eventually you paper mache it, you color it, you put it on, you dress it, you act it, so all that stuff. But this was the first mask, and you make 8 masks. So this was the first mask. And I was like, I had the blindfold on, and I just heard this sentence in my head over and over again. It was the weirdest thing. Well, it wasn't that weird for me because I do weird things, but it was consistent. I couldn't deny it, let's just say. And the sentence was, you are here to transform the consciousness of money into a conduit for love and connection. And it just kept repeating and repeating. And I was crying because it was like truth. Like I could feel truth in my whole body. And I was weeping, and my mask was like soaking wet when I took it off. And I just sat there. I'm like, how do I do that? It was crazy. And the next mask I did, I got the same line, like I got it 8 times. So I said, okay, I'm going to do something about this. So from that moment on, I just studied everything you can get your hands on that had anything to do with money and emotions and neuroeconomics. I went to study finance in school, and I'm dyslexic. I'm number dyslexic. So I was always phobic of numbers. I never thought I was really good at them, but I was like, okay, I gotta get good at it. So I had to confront a lot of my stuff moving through this. And I have done some ridiculous things with money and lost a lot of money and made some really interesting choices with money. And I had to confront all of that too, because I'm like, if I'm going to hold space for people to navigate their landscape with money, I got to be clean. So it's been about 12 years so far of really doing this. And I've been doing one-on-one work with clients for maybe 7 of the last 12 years. And the last couple years, I've really honed and refined what I'm doing with people because I'm starting to see it work. I'm starting to see the transformation. I'm starting to see the impact that it's making. So I am so excited about this work. And I know some people that look at money and finance and stuff like that, they're like, I hate it. I don't want to look at it. If that's you, then you might want to work with me because it is kind of fun. We can really actually make it fun. And I don't think I do anything that's not fun. It has to inspire me. It has to light me up. And if it doesn't, I have to figure out a way for it to. So that's my signature. That's how I navigate this money world. And I tell you this story because all of us have a history. We all have a history that comes from money. And I didn't tell you the story from being brought up with parents that are really hardworking, where everything's fair, everything's accountable. There's no luck that goes on in our universe in my family. And I've got lots of baggage around that in my family unit, and how, rich people were kind of not to be trusted, and all of those like points of view that many of you may have, or you might have other ones. They don't have to be debilitating. And they're kind of like points of view that in a large way kind of define me in a way, and I can navigate them and understand them. It's not like I just get over them, that I get to revisit them over and over again. So it's a powerful mechanism to do some self-assessment. And the way that I work is like, let's work with what you have so that we can cultivate skills within it so that you can rely on them in the future. Okay. So that's me. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I know each of you have your own money story. And for some of you, you might be starting your own business. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs on this talk and on this gathering, and there's a lot of new mothers. There's a lot of women that are birthing things into the world and wanting to do it in the most conscious and present way. So what better way to birth your children, your career, your business into the world with a really powerful foundation with money? Are you guys all in? You guys want to play? We're going to do a bunch of things today. So I want you to be engaged. And during this talk, I will give you some of my contact information, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear if you have any questions, if you have any insights, if you just want to be heard, right? Because money is an inside job, but in order to do it, we have to bring it out, and we have to be seen. You have to be held throughout it, because no more secret. We're not allowed to live in secret anymore with money, because it's not going to serve you. It's not going to create a powerful connection with our planet that we're living on, our community that we're living in, the body we're living in, and the relationships we have with people. So that being said, I shared my mission. My mission is to touch 1 million people, and I want to transform the consciousness of money within them, so it's a way that they lead in the world with love and connection. So if this makes your skin raise, get goosebumps, or if this feels like truth within you, keep listening, because we're going to keep unpacking. We're going to take different layers off during this talk so that you can actually get a deep experience of who you are. Deal? Does that sound like fun? Okay, excellent. So before I go into the money archetypes, is what we're going to explore today, I want to talk about the 4 areas that I work with people. Now, the first one is mindset. And as I talked before, we all have like different points of view around money. But a lot of it is subconscious. A lot of it is deep down in we don't even know what motivates it sometimes. That's why when we try to fix something, it doesn't work for very long, because it's subconscious. So most of the work that I do, I deal with the subconscious first. And I do that through hypnotherapy. I do that through EFT tapping, and I do that through dialogue. But most of it is through hypnotherapy, when we can get into those theta brain waves and really start to untangle some of the points of view that are locking you up, and start to allow you to invite different possibilities into that theta state. which makes everything so much easier. So why not go easy? Why do we always have to suffer? We don't have to suffer all the time. So that's mindset. The second one is financial literacy. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was not taught much about finance. Like, it was not something that you were taught in school, and my parents might have taught it, but it was from their own kind of woundedness, their own difficulties around money. It wasn't fully comprehensive, let's just say. So when I work with people, we have to do the financial literacy. And those are things that people crave and they dread at the same time. So I've partnered with one of the top financial literacy schools in North America that really make it powerful and easy and fun to understand, because it has to be fun. And then the third place is structure. And this is in my top tier program that we do the structure mostly. And this is where we go into your finances, we rejig everything, we kind of like work on creating a system that actually works, that works with your values, your lifestyle, and that you've opened all those drawers and you've organized them. Most of us live financially in our junk drawer, and everything's thrown into the junk drawer. But here we're going to put little partitions. We're going to clean it up. It's going to be nice and clean and understandable, that you can even share it with your partner. You start to have a new language with money, so you can talk to people about it, especially people in the family. It can resolve a lot of arguments when there's clarity. And then the fourth, the pièce de résistance. This is the most important piece to working with money, and it's community. It's being seen, it's doing it together, and hearing that you're not alone, and letting people share what's going on inside around their money stuff, because it'll wake up some of those shadow places within you that you are not able to look at. So when two or more come together, it exponentializes. So when we have a group of maybe 10, 20, 30 people, it's like you go on speed. It's like speed dial, or no, that's not the right expression. It's like everything happens so much faster, and you can unpack things so much faster because you have all these lenses all helping you look at things and holding space. So I have worked one-on-one for years with people with very little change happening. And it was only about 2 years ago that I started to do group work with people, that it was like the change that happened for people was it happened fast, but what happened, it stayed. They didn't slip back into their old ways. And a lot of people that have worked in groups with me are still friends. Like, they still have an ongoing money buddy system, and recognizing that, the intimacy that gets created when you talk about your finances is powerful. It is really, really powerful. And I want that for each of you. You're not supposed to do this on your own. You're not. And that's problematic, because money is one of those independent, I can do it on my own kind of things in this world. And I think that's the problem. That's what creates people struggling. So now's the time. Let's come together. Let's not do this on your own anymore. Are you ready to do it with us? Okay. So what I'd like to do is I want to take you on a journey. I'm going to take you on a journey of the 6 money archetypes. Okay, we're going to talk about the last 3 of them at the end, because those are the 3 that we really want to juice up and get strong. But the first 6 are kind of the ones that many of these, the collective unconscious integrates with. And throughout your life, you will tap into maybe all 9 of them, maybe a couple of them, but I guarantee that you probably know someone that functions from one of these archetypes. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, a journey through the money archetypes. Unlock your money genius. So what I'd like each of you to do as you are listening through the archetypes is I really want you to drop in and see where you are in the framework of this archetype, so that you can kind of when you peer into something, it's almost like something erupts and you can see more. So the more you look, the more you will see. A lot of times people say, oh, that's not me at all. And they've brushed a big stroke and they've just canceled out that archetype. And over time, as we're working together, you'll start to realize, maybe there is a little bit of that in me. And so I just don't want you to discard it so quickly when you hear about them. Okay. And if you absolutely don't have an archetype, this archetypical energy within you, you probably know someone that does. Okay. So we're journeying through the money archetypes. Now, the first archetype that we're going to talk about. So the innocent archetype is the first one, and each one of us have been innocent in our life. We're born innocent. We were put in that womb. Can you see that picture of a being that's in the womb, their head's kind of pushing out of the cervix into this jagged world? But within the womb, there's so much abundance. That's what those gold coins are. And there's a life and a comfort that's within that womb. And what happens with the innocent a lot of times is that we don't recognize this, but as a kid, you are an innocent, but as an adult, you need to kind of grow out of it and become an adult. And one of the things that people say is, I'm not good with numbers and I don't like all this financial. Not quite sure why I just muted. And I apologize for the technical difficulties here, but we'll just see how it goes. The innocence gifts are optimism, beginner's mind, curiosity, and joy. And that's where we all begin. We enter the world that way, and then we have to take charge of our lives. And some people resist that. The adult innocent may appear to be happy and easygoing, but inside they're just racked with fear. They feel like the carpet's going to be pulled out from underneath them. And they can get really overwhelmed. Like if there's people are talking about numbers or they're reading about numbers, they can go into what I call the money fog. And they're also very trusting, and they don't like confrontation. And we as innocents can deny that there is even a problem. And they really want someone to take care of them, whether it's a rich partner to marry or just someone to take care of their finances. They may just ship it off to the accountant or the bookkeeper. But at some point in your life, you are forced to look at your finances. And this could be because you got a divorce or something happened, or you've got so much debt, or maybe even that accountant or bookkeeper might have taken advantage of you without you knowing it. And now you have to confront the money stuff and deal with the language of money. And you feel really unequipped and maybe even stupid. Innocent, their coping strategy may be to put their head in the sand, using an image of they're perfect and they're kind and all of that stuff. And they're so nice to everyone so that someone will take care of them. Because a lot of times the innocent really is terrified of being abandoned. Anyone here feel like an innocent, or at some point in your life you felt like an innocent? Now the next archetype is the orphan. Now the orphan is that archetype that may not have been taken care of as a child. You know, they may have had very poor parenting, or institutionally they may have been taken advantage of, like whether it's organizations have taken advantage of it, but essentially they just don't feel like the world is safe. And they have to do it all by themselves. The orphan, you know, as I was saying, they might not have been taken care of, so they don't have a lot of trust in people, and they can feel really powerless when they're on their own, and they may blame. So in this image, you can see all of the pain and suffering sitting on the shoulders of the orphan. And there's just knives and daggers in that image. And the coins or the abundance is way far off in the distance. It's not available to them. But all their focus is on blaming the economy, blaming people, blaming institutions. And it wasn't their fault. They got fired and they didn't do anything. Or their husband or wife left them and took all their money and they were the best, and the person, they never take responsibility for their role in the suffering of their financial problems. It's really challenging with an orphan because there's so much energy used against them that it's hard to move forward. But once they can turn the ship and move that energy for them, it's almost like they're a force to be reckoned with, and there's no stopping them. So on the equal force of holding them back is this power to move them forward. But they got to do a lot of their inner work. Betrayal is a big part of the innocence or matrix, the orphan's matrix. And they actually will kind of betray themselves before they actually let other people do it for them. They may sabotage their opportunity to have more money in their life just so that no one else can do it for them, because the disappointment is so painful. And in that, there's a sense of not knowing who they are. So they might look outside to see identities that they feel like they'd like to put on top of them. So they might be susceptible to advertising. They might become overspenders, and they buy things because they feel like they deserve it, because their life has been so hard. And as a result, that spending can really soothe the pain, because there's a lot of pain in the orphan. Now, the orphan has a powerful gift. They have enormous empathy and realism. And once they do their work, they can become the most compassionate caregivers. They can suffer like no other archetype out there. So as a result, they're pretty damn strong, and nothing's going to really actually take them out. But once they start to do some self-forgiveness and healing some of those wounds and letting go, then they can move forward into a different reality with money. Now, if this resonates with you, it can be kind of humbling, because a lot of people don't like to be considered like this, because it's in our society, it's considered a weakness to be the orphan, or what in other archetypal structures with money, they call the victim. I like to call it the orphan, because there is a victimhood in orphan, but there's also this place of resilience too. The next one is the artist. And in this image, you'll see there's an enormous life in that artist's head. The artist is in their head, in their imagination, in the ethereal, and tapped into that world. And you can see how their arm kind of actually turned to stone as it reached out and touched the money, because money has no color to them. It doesn't mean anything. It's kind of separate from source energy or their artistic life. And the trouble with an artist is often they need to marry the inside with the outside and give up the idea that money taints all things creative, or they also hold that point of view that money is the root of all evil. They really often have a difficult time making this world work for them. Nothing is important to them as being in their creative zone and making art, dreaming and innovating, and artists they see beauty in places. So you want that to exist when you're working with the financial world. Sometimes artists, and I'm painting the ultimate artist. So you might have elements of it. I'm painting the ultimate innocent and the orphan, but there's always certain elements of it that we identify with. It may not have all of it. A lot of artists can be non-materialistic. They might even be hermits, and they just remove themselves from society. When they're in their zone and they're creating, they'll forget to eat, they'll forget to wash, they'll forget all of the physical stuff's out there. And the money is the root of all evil is a way of rejecting money. But artists usually have a interesting relationship with the material world. They reject the material world, and they feel like the spiritual world or the energetic or the creative world is more valuable. And the work of the artist is to marry the two and realize that money is not to be hated, and it's not the root of all evil. And you don't have to resent working with it. And you don't have to wait until you die to sell your art in order to have money come into your life. A lot of artists that I've worked with also feel like this system, this toxic capitalism that we're living in, which is true, and they want to reject it because it's oppressive, it keeps people down, and they feel like it is the power that is causing the most destruction on the planet. And in one vein of thought, that is true. And another is that when we can harness that power and redirect it, then we can kind of change the direction we're going on. And underneath the artist is often they have that fear that they're going to have financial doom and they want a roof over their head. And the starving artist that has to struggle to make money. Any artists out there? I know a lot of you are entrepreneurs and you probably have an enormous capacity for seeing the beauty in things and creating something out of nothing. So it's important for you to navigate this and know that there are a lot of gifts in the artist that we can harness as well. The next archetype is the Fool. Now, the Fool, I have a lot of Fool in me, as I shared with you earlier, that I've taken a lot of risks, where Fools are very impulsive, and they, they'll give the shirt off their back and they don't even realize it's the last shirt they have. They have that adrenaline, like junkie kind of energy, where they're really addicted to the new and like, I want it, I have to have it. And having the newest thing is exciting. They're the kind of the first buyers of the Apple Watch or things like that a lot of times, because they want to be the first to have that hit of that artistry or newness or experience. They're very experience driven. They often are incredibly fearless and they love to take risks. They actually don't even care about the money. They're a gambler by nature, and money is a game and everything is an adventure. But the truth is, you need a little bit of Fool energy, because sometimes taking risks is what you need to move things forward. You might not have all the answers and you still have to jump. And when you don't have enough of that Fool energy, that surrender energy, then you can get really depressed and uptight a lot of times. But there's a lot of turmoil with the Fool as well, because they're kind of irresponsible. They have very impaired judgment when it comes to financial matters. They do not do their due diligence or do their research. They're just going to jump and hope they land on their feet. But they often will land on their feet more because they jump more. They roll the dice more. So they're going to win more. But when they do lose, they lose big. The problem with the Fool, as I was saying, is that they don't know how to build a foundation that will last. And so they come in debt, and they know how to make money to get out of debt. And they don't know how to think into the future. They're really much into the present. So they don't know how to build a foundation in this 3D world. In this picture, the Fool is kind of like, looks like a bit like a court jester. And there's a hole in their bag that the coins are just falling down all along the path. And they're completely unaware of it. They almost look like their eyes are closed and just like singing a song. It is difficult for the Fool to change their ways. It's because they often win, so they can prove to you. They're like, look, it works for me. And I know I felt the same way. And I'm very optimistic, so I don't really even remember the pains of the past very often. And as I was saying, they often win too. But we're adrenaline junkies, and it's the game, it's the playing, it's the allure, the excitement that happens, and the ability to jump off the cliff and just hope you have wings. So that Fool can really wreak havoc in your financial life, as you can see. But it is kind of fun, and it's fun to be around. But if you're completely the opposite of the Fool and you're in a partnership with a Fool, it could be problematic in your relationship as well. All right, we got the Tyrant. Now, the Tyrant it's an energy that a lot of people don't like to acknowledge within them. But oftentimes we have tyrants, we have self-tyrants, and we have a tyrant. And I would say that our economy is built on a tyrant energy, where more is better. I have to have more. And the tyrant has like more money, that there's never enough. I always have to take more. And that's like, Trump era kind of thing. That's a whole kind of like, the stock market is built on that. Wall Street is built on that. And the top 1% of the world having all this money live in this tyrant energy a lot of times, because they're always looking how to gain. And they haven't cultivated the feeling of what enough is. So it can show up a lot of times on your journey as a feeling of being out of control. The tyrant sometimes feels like at their core level, that there's something missing, and they've cut off their inner reality. So they don't really know how to tap into their intuition. So they feel like they need to control the outer world in order to find a sense of control within. Never really happens. They're always feeling scarce, and a lot of lack shows up with them. And they're alone. They feel very much alone. They could be surrounded with friends and family, but deep down they feel alone. So they may need to hide what's going on financially in their life. Some tyrants might spend a lot, and they go and buy surplus of things that they're on sale just in case there's not enough. I wonder how many of that tyrant was in the people that were buying all the toilet paper for fear that there wouldn't be enough when the pandemic first started. You know, there's this, I got to take care of my own. Who cares about everyone else? And they have a bit of rigidity. So a tyrant could be one of those people that do all the Excel sheets and they have all the numbers and they control everything and they track everything. And they might need the receipts from their spouse, or they'll open the app on their phone and obsessively check their balances. You know, that's a very indicative sense of tyrant energy. It may be also their way of substituting that feeling of being unsafe, you know, by stockpiling and refusing to share and to always have these rules. It's their way of feeling safe, because no matter how much money a tyrant has, it's never enough. And it's possible also to be a self-tyrant, where you're judging yourself that you are not enough, you don't have enough, you're not good enough, you're not working hard enough. And that whole energy of not enoughness is, I think, one of the diseases that is causing the havoc on this planet. And as we do this work together, we start to cultivate that sense of enoughness. And once you have that sense of enoughness, then sky's the limit. All right, we have the caregiver. I bet there's probably some people in this group that are caregivers. Can you see how there's those, the caregiver has all the coins coming out of their hands. They're actually in a mudra as well. Their hands are in that peace mudra. And I bet it also means something else. I'm not quite sure. Someone out there might know and can tell me. But there's these beings that are pulling the clothing off of the tyrant, but they're never changing. They're never filling up from taking from the caregiver. Sorry, I mixed that archetype up. They're just pulling that cloth from the caregiver, and they just want more and more and more. And at some point, that caregiver gets really depleted, and there's not much left for them to give. And they can get really resentful as a result. But it's their identity. They can't help but give of themselves. And they can be really resentful when others aren't grateful for what they give as well. So there's a lot of energies around the tyrant that are positive, and a lot of them that can be really destructive. If you're a rescuer and a helper, this could be part of your identity. Like that self-sacrifice is part of your identity. They are most satisfied when they are taking care of people. And I think some of the things with the caregiver is that they don't really have good boundaries. They can say yes too much and be completely depleted and then feel resentful. But the thing about the tyrant is they never share it. You know, the orphan might just complain and share that they give and give and give and no one gives back. The caregiver could be really resentful and overwhelmed and not being acknowledged, but they suffer in silence. And their behavior can become really passive aggressive, or they might do that guilt. They put that guilt on the people they're taking care of, or they feel like, you know, others owe them. They're perfectionists. They have very, very high standards, and they work really, really hard. So once there is a fully embodied, clear caregiver, they can get that stuff done. They can make things happen. The thing about the caregiver is they have a real difficulty receiving. They don't let the flow of money go in towards them. It often goes out. And the work is to learn how to receive. And because they don't necessarily receive from others or the help of others, they may feel justified in overspending or over drinking or eating or binging on unnecessary things because they work so hard that that's how they take it in. And that could be problematic in their checkbook after time if it's coming from that place. So that's the caregiver. And I'm going to talk about these three archetypes really superficially. Okay, we're going to go a little fast with these because I want to show you a way that we can deepen these three archetypes in a way that would really transform your inner world. Now, the warrior, and on most of these cards, I've made sure were non-binary so that you couldn't tell who is who. But I love this warrior. They have like a sword of notes, swinging it with. They're ready to do the work with joy and exuberance as they move through the world. And they uphold that pillar of confidence. And having a strong sense of confidence when you're working with money is so important. So they will do whatever it takes to reach their goals. And nothing is impossible for a warrior. They will always find a way. And a conscious warrior can be frugal and hardworking and driven, competitive, calculating, confident, generous, and wise. They often help the underdog too. They want to succeed and conquer the money world. And you can get some kids that are warriors that they're going to learn about finances really young so that they get on top of things. It's kind of wild to watch them. And the wise warrior can see how their actions affect others that they care about, and they will stand for their values. So they're not so much like more money, more money, more money like the tyrant. They will know what is enough, and they'll work hard for it so that's in alignment with where they want to go and what they want to create. They can get a balance at a time, and they become overdeveloped and too aggressive and driven, and that would move them into the tyrant. And when they forget to have compassion for those around them, that's when they move into the tyrant. An unconscious warrior has a hard time receiving too. So that's often a caregiver element, and that interrupts the flow of their strength and their ability to create the impossible. And so as a result, they can get resentful and depleted. So can you see how you can move in and out of caregiver, tyrant, warrior? You can do other things too with the warrior. So it's really important to navigate the warrior with a mindful eye. And the second archetype that we work with in what I'm going to share with you in a bit is the wizard. And the wizard holds the pillar of peace. Because when you have a very well-developed wizard, no matter how much money you have, even if you lose all your money, you will always experience a sense of peace. And the universe supports the wizard fully. And her outer world, or their outer world, is an expression of the inner spiritual world. And they're full and they're completely embodied in that element. The money wizards are everywhere. And the funny thing is sometimes they're in disguise. So you might be a money wizard hiding behind something. They can be philanthropists and even single moms. They could be your neighbor or your best friend, or they could even be you. Money wizards are in the flow of this abundant universe, and they have this air of joy and ease, and they feel so connected to their intuition. And you can just feel it when you're around them. It just feels so good to be around a wizard. And a true wizard can be financially successful, but that doesn't define them. They use their wealth to support the community and causes that nourish everyone. So they do see the whole picture. They know that they will be taken care of, and they trust that the universe is abundant and generous, and they are incredibly wise. The true money wizard will manifest their desires almost instantaneously. They know that their inner spiritual wealth is directly connected to their outer material world. So that means that, you know, when you get rock style parking, you ask for rock style parking, that's like, ooh, I manifested that. Well, or when you're desperate and something like really needs to shift and happen because you're desperate, and then you can manifest it. The thing about cultivating the wizard is you can do it reliably. It doesn't just happen in happenstance. It happens consistently, and you trust it. So that is the wizard. And it can happen. Being a wizard is a powerful element to navigate through. So I love opening with the wizard with people. And then the ninth, basically, is the wise elder. And the wise elder holds up the pillar of joy. And as you can see, I have what I would consider maybe more First Nations people, because they do have a wisdom of our land that we have often forgotten. And they are pulling in that abundance into the earth, into the trees. And they're doing it as a community. It's never just one person. The wise elder is a collective. And we're all in this together. And the goal of life is to make your heartbeat match the heartbeat of the universe. This is a Joseph Campbell quote. I don't think I'm saying it right. My picture is behind the writing there, so I apologize, but you guys can read it. The wise elder money type has a broad global perspective of the world. They've been around, they've watched how things have worked or not worked, and they're here to tell a new story. They have a vision for a different way of being with money that is based on cooperation and community. And they can see the greed and scarcity around us, and they dissolve it just by being in their presence. And the wise elder helps us let go of our ego, and we open to that truth. They're the ones that will wake up the sleeping consumer within us. You know, when you're going shopping and you realize, oh, I need that. And all of a sudden you go, I don't need that. That's your wise elder going, whoa, like I have been asleep and I just got slapped in the face and someone woke me up. And realizing that we're in this together. We're on this planet and we got to stop consuming the heck out of it. The wise elders are storytellers, and they are telling a new story. They're creating a new mythology or framework for our lives. Free from systems and institutions, they remind us that we are not prisoners of this economy and that we have the power to do things differently. There are moments, as I was saying, that you kind of can snap into the wise elder, but stepping into the wise elder actually happens more when you start to surround yourselves with other people that are awake. And it's so much easier when we're doing it together, just as we have all three of these beings in this picture coming together. It's so much easier when we surround ourselves with people that want to tell a new story. And the wise elder has traveled the money journey and encountered the gifts of sustainability and sufficiency based on consciousness. They see us as connected to each other and the earth, and they hold that vision. And it's really an empowering place to be with the wise elder. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop sharing for a moment so that you can see me, and we'll see if that works. Oh, maybe not. All right. So we do have this amazing technology for us in front of us. And so often it's a challenge for us to navigate. I do get challenged by it, but I'm so grateful for all of your patience. So those are the 9 archetypes, and you may have seen yourself in them, you may have seen other people in them, but what we do with the 9 archetypes is it's a way for us to create compassion and presence for who we are as beings in the world. And I love them because we can go, oh, that's my tyrant speaking, or oh, I think that's my orphan, or oh, my fool is showing up. And we can actually create a little more separation and less judgment of who we are when we navigate the money world with these archetypes. So with that, what I really want to share with you in this community, because I really feel like a lot of the people that have been part of this community believe similar to me, that we do need to create a new earth. We're birthing in new earth. And this is part of the generation that we need to navigate with, is with money. You know, we unfortunately are swimming in it. So we have to start to navigate it with more consciousness and pivot. So when something really shifts, the big change happens, that we're not going to be swimming in starvation and scarcity, that we're actually going to have a foundation that we can pivot and move in the direction that we need to. We're not going to need to be rescued, but we're going to be actually the people that are going to lead. We're going to lead a new world. And that's what I am about. And that's what this program is about. So I'm going to share with you what Rewire Your Foundation is. And what it's going to do is it's going to take the 3 pillars of a healthy relationship with money, which is peace, joy, and sorry, I'm just going to keep it like this so we can all be here, which is going to be peace, joy, and confidence. So we're really going to deepen the process of exploring the wizard, the pillar of peace, the pillar of confidence, the warrior, and the pillar of joy, the wise elder. And Rewire Your Foundation is a 21-day program. And it happens, I'm going to share this. Sorry. Yes, I love how grateful and accommodating you all are. Thank you so much. I'm going to play this. Okay. So Rewire Your Foundation what we do in Rewire Your Foundation is unique. And as I said, community is such a key to transforming your relationship with money. And this course is designed to rewire your foundation with money, with community, and with yourself. And it's the most important thing you can do to set the stage for a healthy relationship with money. And I know this as a fact. I've watched it time and time again. And as I talk about mindset as being key, in this program, you're going to be engaged in a daily hypnotherapy practice. And this is going to go deep. It's going to get you into a theta state where we start to unpack all those unconscious programmings so that you can engage with money in a different way. Every day, there's going to be 21 short lessons to deepen your connection to each archetype. And we're going to really unpack it and open up the door for you to actually stand strong in your wizard, warrior, and your wise elder. There'll be daily affirmations to listen to. We're going to have an active Facebook group with a strong and powerful community. We'll have a live Zoom call every week so that we can deepen our practice as a community. And in that Zoom call, we also will it will be a place for you to be seen, because I feel like that's the missing piece with changing money, is we're not supposed to do it on our own. And when we're live in that call, which if you're going to be a part of this program, I really, really, really invite you to show up live and be active, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. And we create a container to release some of the blocks that may be limiting you from moving forward. And we do that through therapeutic practices and EFT and things like that. So it is empowering, it's powerful, and it's a deep dive. And it's it's one of the foundational programmings to rewiring your money. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about, let's see, what we got. What's our next slide? So I know today was the day that I was talking to you, which is Tuesday. And this Rewire Your Wealth starts tomorrow on the 23rd. So if you feel this, yes, I want to do this, I want to be a part of this, don't worry. We're not going to officially be starting until the 29th. However, Wednesday, the 23rd, is when you can get access to the program and you can engage with the content and start listening to the hypnotherapy. And then on your first Zoom session is going to be on Tuesday, September 29th. Okay. So almost a week later, we're going to meet live in the Zoom room so that we can really deepen that first archetype. And I really would like you to register before Saturday, the 26th, because I have some goodies that I'm going to get you into. And I just really want to hold some space for you so that you're not rushed. Okay. Now, the investment in you, of course, we need to have some skin in the game for this kind of work. It kind of fries people's brains that I have to pay money to figure out my money. And honestly, I've done this stuff where I've done it for free, or I've done it for very little money that people didn't really show up. For some reason, you need to put some money in or you don't show up. And I want you to win. And it does you a disservice to give this away. I've given it away and people don't show up. So I'm not doing that anymore, because if I'm going to affect 1 million people, I want you to have some skin in the game. So initially, the full tuition is regularly $997 USD for this program. But because of the gathering in New Earth, fabulous folk, I wanted to give you a 50% savings. So that's going to be $497. And I'm going to have the link below, so you can go into the link and dive into the program. There's going to be the offering for this, and you'll have a good experience of what this is all about for you, and feel into the truth of it. You can re-listen to this video again and go over the archetypes and really deepen into this first 6 of them, because we're really going to sink into the next 3. There'll be lots of ways that you can navigate this landscape together. So thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be able to be here with each one of you. And please reach out to me. I want to hold some space for you so that you can win. You can create a different reality with the money in your life. So thank you so much. And I do have a free offering for all of you as well, so that you can explore maybe a little bit of the hypnotherapy and a way of creating your life and your dreams in a really impactful way. So check those out below. And I look forward to engaging with you more as we move forward together. Thank you so much.